Today. My name is Gallucci, and I'm a real estate broker and a CODA, which is a child of deaf adult, and also the author of Brains and Silence. And I'm also a very strong advocate for accessible communication. So my story started long before real estate. It started at home, growing up in a deaf household. So today I'll share how that shaped my life, my career, and why accessibility is professional spaces, including healthcare and housing, matters so much. I'll start with a quick snapshot of who I am. I'm a Colorado native. I was born in Hampshire, but I was basically raised here. So I'm someone who values family connection, and I'm also a CODA, a child of deaf adult, which means ASL was my first language. So professionally, I've spent 30 years in real estate, founded multiple companies, and wrote a book called Raised in Silence. I also stayed deeply involved with the deaf community through board services and also being on the advocate side of it.
I also start after the book.
Okay. I also stayed deeply involved in the deaf community through board services and advocacy. So I grew up in Colorado with two deaf parents. My mom and dad were both deaf, we're 6 kids. And we're all hearing, all of his kids are. And ASL was our first language. And so what I learned at the time was it was our normal because we were raised in the deaf household. So I didn't think anything different with the hearing community because ASL was always our go-to and the deaf culture and the hearing culture. So I was trying to bridge the gap between it. So I actually learned English while watching TV or through school system. So my sister didn't even talk until she was 7 years old. And so, but by the time I was 4 years old, I found myself already translating for the adult conversations, like the doctor's appointments, more things. So the experience I think shaped my entire career and life as I know it. And this is my family, and those are all the 6 kids. So when I was 12 years old, I found myself interpreting for my parents at when they were trying to buy their first home, because when we went there, they were trying to read they had no interpreter there at all. And now I advocated for so long to actually have interpreters there. So now it's a law that you have to have interpreters when you're doing closing on a house or any refinances. But I found myself watching my parents struggle through the closing process because they can all read, but when you're actually communicating in their language, it's different because you're able to understand better if you're fluent and actually signing to them than it is just having them read everything and talking or writing it down. And so I found myself jumping in and just starting to interpret for them because I could tell that they did not understand what they were doing or what they were communicating. So that was my first experience in the real estate world. And I think that was the defining moment in my childhood that set the future of motion because it happened during that period. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to let anybody feel the way my parents felt when they were in there, not understanding or not being able to communicate back to them because they didn't know English they knew English, but not spoken English. So they have to interpret or have an interpreter there. So that moment opened my eyes to how valuable people can be when communication access is missing. And so I always wanted to make sure that everybody felt like they were inclusive. Especially when you're discussing complex legal and financial situations. I realized that my parents weren't given full access to the information, and I saw how easily deaf and hard of hearing clients could be misled. Not by malice necessarily, but because the systems weren't built for them. And so I recognized the power of imbalance in these transactions. And even as a child, I knew I wanted to grow up to be somebody who protected people in that that scenario. So years later, I put those experiences into a book, which was Raised in Silence. So the Raised in Silence tells my story and my parents' story. It has the realities of many deaf and hard of hearing families face. It's not just about real estate, it's about identity, advocacy, and navigating a world that's not designed for you. So I wanted to bridge the gap between the hearing world and the deaf and hard of hearing world. The book became another way to give voice to experiences that often go unheard. So telling the story wasn't easy. It actually took, it was 15 years in the making to finally put it all on paper. And so I wanted to honor my parents, the community, and my own journey. Along the way, I learned how powerful storytelling can be, not just for healing, but for educating others. Writing the book gave me a new platform for helping people be inclusive and not feeling isolated, because a lot of deaf and hard of hearing people feel isolated because they don't have the necessary things to help them navigate through them, especially if you have hearing loss later in life. And a lot of even children, when they have hearing loss later, they feel very isolated. And I think that's a huge part that I think we can help with. And turning a personal story into a published book came with its own challenges. I worked to make the book accessible, including the ASL guidance, the cultural insights. So I have a lot of tips and a lot of people's opinions and stories that they've shared throughout the book. I learned that publishing marketing world from scratch. It was the cover, actually, I think, was the hard part. And when the book launched, I saw how widely the message resonated, not only with the deaf and hard of hearing community. I saw it with professionals, educators who wanted to understand accessibility better and to help people who could not hear or are hard of hearing within their business space. And so my upbringing brought empathy, and my career sharpened my skills as an advocate, and my family keeps me grounded. So today my mission remains simple: make real estate accessible, transparent, and empowering for everybody, regardless of communication ability. And so over the years, the mission has translated into results. I've been fortunate to earn recognition locally and nationally in real estate, but the awards mean less to me than the impact. Helping clients who once feel overlooked or isolated, navigating one of the biggest decisions in their lives with confidence and clarity. And so I think that doing the book, what my purpose of the book was to make everybody feel like they can be included and have empathy towards other communities, not just the deaf and hard of hearing community, but the blind community and all the different communities around that we have. So I would like to open the floor.
Just what I was going to do. Working question, comments, thoughts?
Where can we buy the book?
I am on all platforms, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and so here's a QR code for the book and that on there as well. And then scan the QR code, I'll take it to the site that will actually have all the platforms for the book. And I'm actually Amazon's #1 bestseller, and I got chocolate new released within 24 hours of the book.
And are you selling them here?
Yeah, I do have them here,
Oh, well,
and I can say those all.
Okay, and just so people know, how much are you selling? Can you take cash, credit card, how can they pay?
The paperback, I'm actually not sure if I have hardback in there, but the paperback's $10, and I do cash, Venmo, or Zelle as well. And then the audio version, so the audio version's coming out next week, I think, and then I also have a version of ASL that's being signed right now. And I'll be the first book that has ever been translated in ASL.
Okay. Very cool.
Maria, when was the audiobook coming out?
It should be next week.
I have a question for you. I was wondering if your 5 siblings are also involved in advocacy or how being a CODA affected them.
They are not as much as me. So I'm on the board of DEAF, which is the Deaf Overcoming Violence, and also Rocky Mountain Deaf School and Colorado's Association of the Deaf. So for me, I was always my parents' interpreter when we were growing up, and I'm actually the middle child, so I'm the third to the oldest, which is unusual because it's usually the oldest person who does that. But it ended up being me, so I was always interpreting for my parents since I was younger. And so I was always very, very involved in the deaf and hard of hearing community since I was little.
Are you familiar with Pasco, Personal Assistance Services, Colorado?
I am not.
Let's talk after we.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're fitting great.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, for sure.
You're the middle kid. The first daughter? My question is, she was the first daughter, the middle birth daughter.
What was the answer? Yes.
I'm the second girl. Oh, sorry, I was signing.
Oh, sorry.
Tell us about your parents. Were they deaf, growing up, or did they lose their hearing later in life?
So my dad was born deaf, and then my mom actually became deaf at 9 months. She had the measles and the chickenpox at the same time, and it blew out her eardrum. So my dad actually never spoke. So he didn't really talk, but my mom actually did. I don't know if it had to do with her being born hearing, even though she was nine months, but not all of us are hearing, and my dad was born deaf, so it's usually genetic, and we actually have the genetic gene, but for some reason we were all hearing.
Okay.
Is that something that goes generation to generation? Are your children or more, or do they carry the gene or?
So it does, because my granddaughters actually have the gene. So we have a heart condition called long QT, which is actually the same gene for hearing loss. And so my granddaughter has it, and my niece actually has long QT as well. But all of us, the granddaughters, the nieces and nephews, all of us are all hearing.
If you have to sit there after the free speech therapy to allow the kind of stay out without talking.
We did. Actually, we went through speech therapy all through it, middle school. I actually stutter, and I've always stuttered since I was a child. And so I went to more speech therapy than they did because I stuttered. But yeah, we all went to speech therapy because we learned to talk through the TV and not the natural form of learning to speak. And so we were all in speech therapy all together. So it's kind of fun.
Did your parents take your family to church?
We did, yes, we went to church. Yep.
What kind of support did you have at church?
Back then, there was no interpreters or anything, so we always interpreted what they were saying.
What was the most challenging thing that people outside your family didn't see? What do you think? Your personal reflection or opinion?
I think the most challenging thing is having people being different and having people make fun of us for being different. And because we were always teased growing up, and so I think the deaf and hard of hearing community, people misunderstand them a lot, and a lot of people make fun of them or aren't very nice to the community. So I think growing up with those challenges made a big difference, and I think that's why I have so much empathy and so much resilience because we had to deal with all that stuff, by protecting our parents from that.
Thank you. I just think it's amazing that you have built a career around this. And I wonder if you can kind of give us a little bit of more detail about what it was like, and do you also help hearing people with real estate? Do you only help people who have hearing loss, and like, who's your ideal client? And I'm just curious a little bit more about your professional side.
So I help hearing people, that have a hard of hearing, every walk of life in that community. I'm actually top 5 in Denver for the top 5 real estate agents. So I'm 34 years now into real estate, and I'm a teen mom, so I had to get a job right away. And so I, just fell into the real estate career because of that. And I helped a deaf and hard of hearing client, and I realized they said that the house before that they had bought, they were so confused and they weren't happy, and they're like, and then I thought to myself, well, I'm fluent in sign language, but I can help them. So my dad was talking to me. He's like, well, you need to make it your mission to help like people who feel different. I help my son's gay, so I do the LGBTQ plus community. So I do everyone, like I do all of them, and everyone who feels like an outsider, I try to make them feel like they're included. And so when they finished their transaction with me, they said that it was 100% different because they were able to understand the process of how it goes. Because buying a house is your biggest decision you'll ever make. And so to be able not to understand and to be double stressed because of that, it made me feel like I'm going to help these people no matter what it takes.
Well, I'm sure you played with it.
Yes, I have.
Did you think we have to use it, or do
Yeah, the CODA is still relatable because that's what like it's still on like key because that's how we are. Like we were a loud family, like we're all very, very close. And I think we're all very, very close because we were like the outsiders. And so all we had were each other.
Where did you grow up?
In Thornton, so up north, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, this isn't a real question for you, but I wanted to say I didn't hear your introduction, and I don't know if you told people about the hearing loop. I couldn't hear very well, so I turned on my tea coil, and I'm hearing much, much better. But every time this microphone, I hear a lot of static. Is anyone else listening to the hearing loop?
I am.
Are you getting static?
Take the microphone and do this. Yes.
Okay, I'm just testing. They redid this whole sound system, and the sound used to come out of these speakers, but now they come out of 2 speakers in the ceiling, and I find it kind of hard to hear still, but at least they're working. And I just want people to know if you are also having trouble hearing, if you have a T-phone, you can put it on, turn it on, or we have hearing loop receivers here that you can borrow. So I just wanted to see how it sounded to other people.
Well, and for others, we record all of these sessions and then they are posted on our webpage. And you can listen to it with the captions on if that is helpful, if there were things that you missed. But I'm so struck by your passion and purpose and your courage and just being such a pioneer, not only in what you do in terms of real estate with all communities who are marginalized, but to bring your story is just so inspiring.
Thank you so much.
So struck.
I'm wondering if you're a member of the real estate association and you try to get them trained to have more empathy for their hearing impaired clients.
I am a member of, DMAR, which is the Denver Metro, and I am trying to advocate for that.
So how much training do you give them?
I complain to them every week. And I'll keep complaining.
Yay.
I do not stop.
Other thoughts, please? Yes, Diane, thanks.
Well, the other part about dragging for government doing our Howard Russell from Illinois trying to run the house. Illinois, yeah, and got with a lawyer for NAD for the CEO of NAD and now he's trying to run with the house people from Illinois. So I'm wondering, I'm not impressed with your background on one of the other thought about joining the government office.
That's actually a very good idea. I should make that my goal. I would love to. As I just had purchased a house last summer, and I do a implant, but I just need to say thank you because I know, like, I think you're pretty good, but it's a stressful situation. It's very confusing. I didn't read all the documents, so I was asking questions. Do you work with a lender that is also in sign language? I know that was a big thing for me, was the financial aspect of understanding that more almost than a mortgage. Yeah, exactly. That was like the financial part of it. I'm actually a mortgage broker. I've always had my license. So I use Vicky Forens, and she's been with me for 20 years. So she knows the deaf culture. And then because I'm also a mortgage broker, I know all of the lingo. So I always help her in like explain everything to them. But I have not yet to find one that knows ASL. But so they always just go through, like I always help them just step in and help with that part. Awesome. Thank you.
I just heard about Kelby, so
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Yeah. Other questions? I think if you ran for something, I think we all campaign for you, don't you? Yes, exactly. Any questions related to any of the other things? I know we kind of told you a